The migrants' rehabilitation issue in the UK is costing a bomb. Well, latest figures have revealed that the UK is spending almost a third of its overseas aid budget on supporting refugees and asylum seekers in the UK. Well, according to Foreign Office figures, nearly $4.6 billion was spent internally on supporting refugees in 2022. The UK spent more than $13 billion on overseas aid in 2022, while the UK spent around $4 billion on refugee crises within the country from the aid. It allocated nearly $1.4 billion for the whole African continent. Now, Africa still remains the largest recipient of UK aid. However, the African witnesses a £200 million fall in 2021. The latest figures have drawn criticism from charities. The Chief Commissioner of the Independent Commission for Aid Impact urged the UK government to channel more money overseas. The Foreign Office says the new figures are due to the support offered to Ukrainians fleeing from the conflict with Russia and the resettlement of Afghans from the Taliban rule. Well, meanwhile, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had defended the plan to house migrants on a barge off England's southern coast. Earlier, the UK leased a barge to house 500 migrants on its southern coast as part of the efforts to reduce the use of costly hotels.
We can't have a situation we are collectively spending £6 million a day on hotels for illegal asylum seekers. That can't be right. I said that I would do everything I could to stop that and reduce the pressure on our communities from asylum seekers being in hotels, and that's what we're doing. We're bringing forward alternative sites like indeed the barge that we've announced today that will save us money and indeed reduce pressure on hotels.
Okay, so for more on this divisive topic, we're now joined by Alexander Clarkson, a political analyst and commentator, also the founder of Global Political Insight think tank. Thank you so much indeed for your time. It's such a difficult topic because, of course, these migrants, they need a roof over their head.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I think in many ways, the report that came out showing that the UK is spending a third of its budget on refugees inside the country might in some way actually help the Conservative government to make their case that this issue with the refugees needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. And perhaps they will argue that the fact that they're spending more money on the refugees inside the country demonstrates that if stakeholders want the UK to spend money overseas, elsewhere, whether it's in Africa or in countries which are going through a potential crisis, then they need to limit the number of refugees that they house in the UK. But that, of course, will go against many of the arguments made by the opposition parties, such as Labour, that's saying that the UK should house more refugees. So in many ways, this situation will continue to escalate for some time, and it looks unlikely that we will find a resolution between the parties in the UK Parliament.
Alexander, you just said there sort of one of the options here is to limit the number of refugees, but how?
Well, of course, the Conservative government has been trying to do that for some time. Of course, they put forward the plan, a quite controversial plan to send the refugees to Rwanda and essentially to try and stem the flow of migrants coming through on boats over the sea, and essentially increase security and increase monitoring on the seas as migrants come over on small boats. But of course, it's quite difficult to implement in practice because the stem is quite substantial, and frankly speaking, the UK does not have the resources to do that. But I think Rishi Sunak did promise that he would put in further resources to try and limit the number of refugees coming into the UK. And whilst this is quite a controversial issue for many, I should note that the majority of members that are Conservative and the majority of people who vote for the Conservative Party actually support these measures by Rishi Sunak, and so for many, in many ways, he will feel that he's essentially responding to the people that support the Conservative Party.
Mm-hmm. Alexander, thank you so much indeed. We appreciate your view and your position on the matter. That's Alexander Clarkson there, political analyst and commentator, also founder of the Global Political Insight think tank. So thank you so much from London today.
Thank you.